it to the final color, guys. We are going to be doing green in today's video, and after that we only have 2 more videos, colorless and multicolor. So we're getting really close to the end of our Kamigawa set review. If you guys missed the previous videos, make sure you guys check them out. They're already posted up on YouTube for you, and then check back tomorrow, assuming you guys are seeing this day of, and we will be posting the rest of them for you shortly after. Thank you guys again for stopping in. Let's go ahead and start it up with Bearer of Memory, a 3...
That's the 3rd card.
Just kidding. We're going to start with this card. Azusas Many Journeys, a 2-mana saga spell that is, you may play an additional land this turn on the first chapter. Chapter 2 is you gain 3 life, and then you're going to exile. It's going to turn into a 3/3. And it says, whenever Likeness of the Seeker becomes blocked, untap up to 3 lands you control. This is a 3/3 for 3. The other effects are fine. You know, you have to have the additional land to ramp in hand. It doesn't actually get it out of your deck, so it's, you know, may or may not come in handy. The life is fine. But a 3/3 for essentially 2 mana that then untaps your lands is pretty sweet. If it trades, you get to cast more stuff. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, way underrated at 2 mana for a 3/3. With playing a land, it sometimes is almost kind of 1, because especially that land doesn't say tapped.
Definitely.
You know, gain 3 life is kind of whatever, but that's fine. The other two chapters kind of carry this.
Yeah, you have to have essentially, you know, 3 lands in your opening hand-ish, 4 lands for it to be good. If you're casting it late in the game, first chapter is not going to be great, but all in all, I think that this is a very well-rounded card with some great upside in the, you know, big stompy decks. It's everything I want it to be doing, and getting a 3/3 for essentially 2 mana commitment is great. This feels like a 3 to me.
Yeah, I've got it at 3.
Great. Let's go ahead and move on to Bamboo Grove Archer, a 3/3 for 2 mana that has Defender and Reach. You can channel it for 4, and it destroys target creature with flying. Okay, well, I mean, it's also an enchant creature, which is pretty relevant. It's a Snake Archer.
Yeah, 2 mana for a 3/3 is fine. I mean, obviously, Defender. Green struggles with flyers sometimes, so being able to put that destroy target creature with flying in your deck for free is nice.
You know, I saw, this reminds me of another card, and this is obviously way better with the cycling and the reach and stuff, but there was a 3/3 in the last set that cost 2 mana in the blue category. I don't remember if you guys remember. It was a Defender unless you play an enchantment, I believe. 3/3 for 2 mana, play an enchantment, it can attack as though it didn't have Defender. I sometimes played that with like next to no enchantments, just because I was light on 2-drops, and I kind of needed something to fill my curve, and I also was always able to get a trade out of it. So it just is a 1-for-1 still that helps you fill a curve when your deck needs to get to the long game. This fills a sort of similar vein in that, like, it will see some play if you're a little light in the early game, and it's fine to play it. Has some huge upside if it's, you know, preventing those little 1/1 flyers from getting you, but it's also very acceptable to pick these up and keep them in your sideboard if you don't have, like, let's say the enchantment synergy to want this, and or, you know, don't know if your opponent is playing any flyers. So I think that's fine, but it's probably going to be sideboard fodder more often than not.
Maybe. I think I'm probably going to play the first one of these, just like you said with the blue Defender. You know, unless I'm really aggressive, I'm always happy to have just a kind of a brick wall here, especially because it can actually block into the late game, being able to hold off those, you know, 2-power flyers, or at least trade with 2-power ones.
The only reason I don't know that that's true in this situation is because I tend to have a difficult time finding valuable 2-drops in blue, because they tend to just be weaker in general. I think green doesn't struggle as much to find more premium 2-drops, because they just tend to be more creature based, and they don't tend to like be weaker statted because they give you like a cost less for your spells kind of abilities. Like, you see a lot of 2/1s that make your spells cost less, your instants and sorceries. Does that, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So oftentimes I would rather just run a 3/3 to help me from not being ran over or trade appropriately in blue. Whereas in this, I think we might be able to find some better creatures, but of course we'll have to see.
Yep.
All right, Bearer of Memory, a 3 mana enchant creature. It's a 3/2 for 6 mana. You can put a +1/+1 counter on target enchantment creature. It gains trample, so it can put it on itself, which is nice. It's at rate on its own and works with the enchantment synergies. This is fine.
Yeah, it works with modified as well, but be able to put those counters on things.
It's pretty late game. It's very expensive, so I'm not tempted to give it a full point, but I like a 2/5 for this.
Yeah, It's a mana sink that's fine to play on turn 3 as well.
All right, I'll let you take this one.
Blossom Prancer. It's a 5 mana, 3 green for a 4/4 spirit with reach. When Blossom Prancer enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or enchantment card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest of the bottom of your library in a random order. If you did not put a card into your hand this way, you gain 4 life. So, I mean, it's pretty hard to miss a creature in your top 5 in green.
Agreed.
Not impossible, but fairly hard, and you still get something if you do miss, which is nice. I like this card a lot.
Yeah, that said, even if you miss, it's still a 4/4 reach for 5. Like, that's fine. Slightly, below rate, we see 4/4s for 4 that are like naked or turn into wolves or have escape, things like that. But they don't have reach. So this is kind of close to a wash, probably a little bit below. But then the upside on hitting the card, even if you only hit, we'll lowball it and say 20% of the time. That's still great.
Yeah. I don't know what the number is you're actually going to hit. It's probably at least 50%, if not way higher than that. And I think I want to be able to hit in order to play this card because, I don't know, I agree it's not much under rate, but I think that becomes a bigger problem at the higher mana cost because you can only include so many in your deck.
Yeah, I think, 5 is that spot where you tend to be able to have like 3 random kind of creatures. My 5-drop slot is always the most random in every set, where it's like there's a wide range of things that will do, and I'm never very excited about any of them, if that makes sense. And I feel like this fits the bill for that really well, and it's got some great upside. I think this is a 3.
Yeah, I think it's a 3 as well.
All right, a 2 mana instant speed. Target creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the greatest mana value among permanents you control. Untap it. The key part there is untap, which I like. So at its worst, this is a 2 mana +1/+1 untap block. Do a thing. So it's flexible in that it can kill somebody by just giving something +6/+6 for 2 mana at instant speed, or it can combat trick block things. It doesn't give reach, which they sometimes do, but that said, I'm still playing this.
Yeah, anytime any of these tricks that untap just let you ambush something are nice, especially at only 2 mana.
Yeah, and +X/+X in a green deck. I mean, this could easily be a 2 mana instant speed +5/+5.
Yeah.
I think this is a 2/5.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
All right, now we've got research or reaches skyward. Sorry, did I skip a card?
No, I was just saying Besage you.
I just skip things that are hard to pronounce.
I know.
YouTube videos, YouTube comments are always so mean. Search your library for up to 2 basic forest cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. Then you can put up to 1 target land card from your graveyard onto the top of your library. Well, that's kind of cool, those cycling lands. That'll do. That's neat. And then it turns into a 0/0 with reach that gets +1/+1 for each land you control. That's quite a large tree.
Does that art look kind of like it would be from like an original Nintendo Zelda game?
Yes.
Like kind of like an 8 or 16-bit.
Yep. Yeah, this is a big tree, right? By the time it flips, it's a 5/5. Yeah. Is it? Oh no, it's a 6. It could be a 6/6. After you untap and play your land. And it helps you get those lands. I like a lot. It doesn't fix, unfortunately, because you can only get forests, but I think that's okay. And it turns into a fairly large threat on the other side. And has reach. I think this card's awesome.
Yeah, I think this card's good. It's slow, but you get a good payoff at the end, so that's fine. And you tend to want, heavier mana costs in green, so...
Yeah, it also enables you to have a slightly heavier deck, too. You can have a few more 6-drops because of this.
Yeah.
Which I tend to like to have in green, which is nice. Thins the deck, does everything I want green to be doing, makes a big dumb idiot in the end. I like it. This is like a 3 or a 3/5 for me. I mean, you have to play them a little bit sparingly. You don't have a ton of turns where you can just do nothing for 4 mana, but I like it.
Yeah, I think I've got it as a 3.
Careful Cultivation, 3 mana for an enchant artifact or creature. As long as it's an enchant permanent is a creature, it gets +1/+3 and has reach. A lot of reach in this set. It can also tap to add 2. You can channel it to create a 1/1 green human token monk that can be a mana dork. 2 mana Llanowar Elf on the channel side. Okay. That's kind of neat, because if you don't have a creature to enchant on turn 3, you could just play this on 2 for the channel. I feel like the channel is great.
I feel like I'm almost always going to play this for the channel.
I feel like late, I like having the option not to. Like, if I have it in my opening hand, I'm always going to channel this. If I don't, then I'm happy to give a creature +1/+3. So it's kind of flexible in that way. It's a mana dork that can be a pump spell that can be a mana dork.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that's how you would play it in the late game. I think I'm pretty unhappy to have this in the late game at all.
Of course.
But at least it's better than nothing.
100% agree, but I'm also very unhappy typically to top deck a Llanowar Elf in the late game.
Yes,
so I would rather have this, right, in that situation. Granted, I'd rather have Llanowar on 1. So it's kind of a little better in the late, a little worse in the early, meet in the middle. I like it. This is kind of what I want to be doing in green, so I'm probably taking this reasonably highly at a 3. I'm always going to play the one of them.
Yeah, I've got this as a 2/5, but it's fine. I'm not going to cut it, at least the first one.
I like 2 mana dorks. We have a Stalker 2/1 for 2 with ninjutsu. It says whenever it deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control that doesn't have a +1/+1 counter on it. Okay, so it's a little limited in how it works, but it's going to be so like it can't continue to work, which it doesn't really matter because it probably won't anyway at only a 2/1, but it's going to enable any of your altered cards. Why can't I remember the name of that?
Modified. Why
can't I remember that? So it'll enable 1 modified, so this looks kind of like a Gruul-esque type build for me. What do you think, Yanks?
Yeah, you can get it in for the first counter can always go on itself to give you at least a chance to trade on the next attack, even if you can't get in again. Yeah, this card's fine.
All right.
Not exciting, but if you had enough modified payoffs, it's worth it.
What do you like it for rating-wise?
Like a 2/5.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. It's a little underwhelming if you don't get a ninjutsu target on it. I guess if you ninjutsu itself in, it's a 2 mana 3/2, but also it brought something back. So I don't know. I'm closer to 2 almost, but it's fine. All right, Commune with the Spirits, a 1 mana sorcery. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an enchantment or land card from among them and put it into your hand. For the rest on the bottom. Enchantment or land, which enchantments can be creatures, and there are some good ones. So this is fine as a 23rd playable.
Yeah, I in modern sets, I tend to almost always end up cutting these cards because you usually have enough playables. But if for some reason you had a bit of a rough draft and had to change colors or whatever, it's fine to play this as a 23rd card.
Yeah, it's also good for digging a little deeper to help you find fixing for a 3rd color, so that's nice. Your dual lands or whatever. And also, if you have powerful enchantments, can also be good. So I'm going to give this a 1.5. Very situational. All right, we have the Dragon Kami Reborn, 3 mana for a saga for chapters 1 and 2. You gain 2 life. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Exile one of them face down with a hatching counter on it. Then put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. I like that. So you get 2 cards with hatching counters on it in the top 6. And then it says, whenever hatching Kami's egg or a dragon you control dies, you may cast a creature spell from among cards you own in exile with hatching counters on them without paying its mana cost. Huh. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird card. The dragon portion of it probably doesn't matter since they're all rare and mythic in the set, but just the fact that it works itself to give you, 1 of 6 cards that you looked at, and you presumably chose the 2 best creatures.
My issue is that It doesn't have any power of its own, which makes me kind of sad. So, like, they could, you can't attack or force the issue. You can block with it, but they don't have to necessarily attack you in a way that you can block with this. So, this is, it's 3 mana to do nothing for several turns and then hope that it dies. If you have sack outlets and things like that, that seems great, but most of those seem to be largely artifact based. So,
I do think you can.
Oh, it
you
is.
Can put them,
Go ahead.
I say you can put them in a bit of a tough situation with attacking with this, just because they may be afraid of ninjutsu. So that could be interesting in this format. Also, we've seen a million equipment.
But if you're ninjutsuing, then you're not getting the cards anyway.
You're not, but you might have. They still might not want the hit that they might take from the ninja.
In green? Like, are there going to be...
Green, blue, green, black.
Possibly green, blue, or green, black, yeah. But that cuts the number of ninjas they need to be worried about in half. It does seem a bit sketchier.
Yeah, I think more importantly, though, we've seen a million equipment.
But here's the thing. Do you think that they're more likely to be scared of an unknown ninja in at least one of color pairings that don't support ninjas versus a card they know you have underneath? Like, I would never block.
I mean, it's equally random to some degree.
The chances, but there are less things versus your deck has creatures, right? In the top 6 of them, you are more likely to have had a creature than you are to have an off-color ninja. That is probably less impactful than the top 6 of your deck anyway.
Yeah, I think that makes it even better if you do have a good ninja, though, because they'll never block this thing.
Fair, but is that my game plan in green?
No, I think my game plan is equipping this thing.
Yes, that's a much better argument. If you're going to equip this, great. But again, not in a color that necessarily supports that as well as, black or red, white, or whatever. So this doesn't seem to fit a thing. The 2 strategies you've come up with to make this slightly viable is not a thing green wants to be doing.
Yeah, whatever it's paired with does want to be doing, though.
Possibly. Or it could just
green,
be paired with something
Green-red is all about modified.
Yes, again, that's only half of the color pairs. If you are green-blue, we're not crewing anything with this egg. You know what I mean? Like, it's very possible you could have some synergies, but again, only half your deck has that synergy. There's no color pairing with green that works with equipment. Those are different color pairs.
I mean, green-white's enchantment, so that's not equipment, but it is auras. Green-red is modified. So that's half the green decks.
Green-red is modified? I thought black had a lot of modified.
No, green-red Gruul is modified.
I guess if we can modify the egg, that's fine, but I thought it was green-black because we had the green removal spell that dealt with modified cards. We had a black creature that dealt with modified cards.
Well, I mean, not by the signpost, because the green-black one is graveyard-based. The green-red one was all about modified.
Maybe. Okay, if we see more modified stuff in green, fine, but I kind of assumed that was not going to be the case. I give this card a big boo. I am not a fan of it.
Oh, this is going to be another one we're very different on. I got this at like a 3.
I have it at like a 1/5 or a 2. Yeah. If you have some sort of green equipments, or you happen to be mostly in red with modified cards with, slight green, sure. But let's go ahead and move it to the Fade. 3 mana for a sorcery, exile target artifact or enchantment. This is main deckable at this point. There's just so many creatures that this will hit. And it exiles, so you don't have to worry about them because there's a lot of graveyard recursion for artifacts as well. So, I mean, cut this, keep it in the sideboard. If you got cards, great. If you're a little light on cards, then this is you're happy to run this. I think it's a 2 in any deck.
Yep, agreed.
And you want like 2 or more in the sideboard every time. All right, we got a 1 mana Snake Ninja Fang with a 1/1 Death Toucher. Well, I guess we have 2 ninjas in green, which is actually already more than I kind of expected. So we could ninja back our egg for a 1/1.
Well,
Death Toucher.
This one doesn't really count because it doesn't have ninjutsu.
Fair. This is a 1 mana Death Toucher. These are always fine. I'm happy to run these.
Yeah, I'm much happier with these than like the 3 mana 2/2 Death Touchers.
Yes, agreed. This is like a 2/5. I don't want to run a ton of 1-drops, but I mean, as far as they go, this is pretty impactful.
Yep.
Oops. Yep, there we go. Sorry, lost it. All right, Favor of Jukai. 4 mana aura spell. Enchant an artifact or a creature. As long as enchant permanent is a creature, it gets +3/+3 and has reach. You can also channel it. Enchant target creature gets +3/+3 and gains reach. So wait a minute. This is worse. This one doesn't have a leaving the battlefield effect like the other 4 mana auras do.
No.
It has the channel bonus, which is not permanent.
Yeah, it just gives you the option of being a combat trick instead.
Yeah, this is worse.
Yeah.
4 mana plus, I don't like auras for this.
Nope, but it's in the modified colors. It's in and the enchantment color for green, white, and green, red. So that's the only time you're going to play this card. And even then, you could probably find better options
that are cheaper and less vulnerable for 2-for-1ings.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like a 1/5 for me.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, whenever you cast an enchantment spell, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It's a 1/1 spirit for 1. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of enchant creatures. This is playable.
Yeah, I mean, this is made for a green-white deck, but you're going to have enchantments in every deck, every green deck in this format, so...
Well, it's made for the, according to you, it's made for the green-red deck.
Well, the enchantment deck is green-white, so it's kind of made for both, I guess. Yeah, the effect is for green-red, but the enablers are green-white.
I'll have to take a look at how many actually green enchantments there are going into it, because the first one that we've seen is really underwhelming. There's a couple of enchant creatures that have come out in the beginning of there.
We've got 8 enchantments already.
The mana dork, the death touch snake is an enchantment. Okay, that's a fair amount.
All the sagas.
That is certainly enough to make this creature very playable. I like it at a 2 for any deck, and then obviously it's got a bit of a ceiling, goes up to a 3 if you've got the deck. Or your secondary color also supports enchantments, then it's great. Okay, a 4 mana 4/3 spirit. When it enters the battlefield, you may return an enchantment you control to its owner's hand. If you do, gain 3 life. Okay, so it can, remove things from enchantment removal, and it can also bring back for ETB effects and or trigger your visitor from the last card, so that's fine.
Yep, it can bring back the backside of a saga, because they're all enchantment creatures, to replay the front, if you want.
Yeah. The sagas, the common and uncommon sagas on the front have been kind of underwhelming. I don't know, oftentimes we're talking about, do we want to wait 3 cards for this, or 2 turns for this to flip into a creature? So I don't know how often we're going to want to do that, but yes, it's definitely reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, there's the white one that exiles something, and...
but those aren't like common and uncommons, right?
It's not uncommon.
Oh.
This isn't a saga, but you've got the black aura, that's kill target, destroy target creature, is another one you can bounce.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are some pretty decent, plus ETB ones, so there are some pretty good targets for this.
Certainly, yeah, like the kill sagas and stuff, or kill enchantments, absolutely. I just meant in general, most of the sagas themselves we prefer to have on the backside.
Yeah, I agree.
The Green Shrine, what did we say for that? I put it at like a 2/5. I think there's enough that we're going to be fine with it. It's also just a 4 mana 4/3, which is slightly underrate with a nice upside. So we have a legendary trampling 1/1 at the beginning of your end step. You may pay 1. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter for each shrine you control. Okay.
Only on
what?
So it can only target itself or other shrines.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. That's all.
That's exactly what I would expect it to do, which I think is fine over time. Sometimes you're not going to get a +1/+1 counter, but, it doesn't take very many for this to be fine. It gets scary. It has trample. If it didn't have trample, I think it would be a lot more questionable, but this is borderline playable. A bit slow, but helps you with your curve.
Yeah, it's like a 2/5.
Yeah, I think it's a 2 on its own. If you have any other shrines, then great. I would bump it up a fair amount, but it's a little too slow, I think, for me to want it too highly. Grafted Growth. We have an enchant land for 3 mana. Grafted Growth enters the battlefield with +1/+1 counter on target creature or vehicle you control. Enchant land has tapped 2 mana of any color. Okay. Things that fix, but also have an ETB effect, or make a wolf, or draw you a card to replace itself. These are always far more playable than ones that don't.
Yeah, and it's both fix and ramp.
And modify.
And hits your enchantment theme and your modified theme. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to run a lot of these, but I'll probably play the first one in a lot of decks, and will definitely play it if I'm splashing.
Yeah. So this is a fine card. I think it's a 2 if you want the things that it offers, and it's probably a 2/5 if you want the things that it offers, and then if you don't, you just don't play it.
Yeah. That's fine to put in any deck because at minimum it ramps you and gives you a counter, which is okay.
Raider Tenuki, 6 mana dog. Kind of looks like a fox. It's kind of hard to see a dog face there, but sure.
I was gonna say a badger.
Yeah, like the foxy snoot. Yeah, I could go with badger too. It has trample. It's a 6/5 for 6. You can channel it, search your library for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield tapped. So for 3 mana, you can fix, you can ramp, you can do whatever you want. And if you draw it in the late game, it's a reasonably sized stuff with a keyword. Yeah, this is fine. Big dumb idiot on the top. 2/5?
Yeah, this is the kind of card that lets you put extra 6 drops in your deck.
Yeah, and they become even more valuable if you happen to be 3 colors.
Yeah.
All right. Emergence. We have a 3-drop aura. Enchant land you control. Enchant land is a 4/5 green spirit creature with vigilance and haste. It's still a land. If enchanted land would be destroyed, instead sacrifice this. It gains indestructible. So this is the same thing in the red one, just bigger.
Yep. It's the exact same thing, and I have the exact same rules question.
Yeah. Does combat damage count as destruction?
Yeah.
We had this in red where we weren't sure. So I wonder in the rules text somewhere when resolving combat damage, does it say anywhere that like the creature is destroyed if X is met, meaning its damage is higher than its toughness? I wonder if it uses that keyword anywhere. We'd have to look into it.
Yeah. I said this card is just going to be tough to rate because I'm just torn on it. It all depends on how that rules.
Yeah, honestly, like I kind of want my green to keep its lands. Like, yeah, this is a pretty decent body for the rate, which is nice, but it's not doing a ton else. And then I'm gonna be tapping the creature to like curve out on 5 and 6 still, so that feels kind of wonky. Like the red one felt like what red wanted to still be doing. This one feels kind of dirtily. You kind of get one more toughness for it, right? Because 4/4s for 4 are pretty common. So you're removing a land from your pool if you want to keep this as blockers or attackers for the 1 extra toughness. Seems a little underrated to me. For green.
Yes, definitely for green.
So I'm going to give this a 2 for now, because even if it doesn't do the thing in damage, like we're, the best case scenario, it's still underrated.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
So people are quoting here from rules. It says if it lethal damage and is destroyed. So that is the way it works.
Yeah. See, I'm about to quote from a different rule that says the only way a permanent can be destroyed is a result of an effect that uses the word destroy. Okay, yeah. Nope, you're there. Correct. That is 7.45G modifies this rule. So it does not. It would not affect -X effects. Would not trigger that destroy thing, but damage would.
Yes, so that was the only one I thought would do it based on my reading. So thank you, ZMK, for posting that rule as well. Yeah. So that's the way I read it, so that makes me happy that was not a trick. I'm going to give this card a 2. It feels worse than the red one by a fair amount. Heir of the Ancient Fang, a 3 mana 2/3. Heir of the Ancient Fang enters the battle with +1/+1 counter on it if you control a modified creature, which shouldn't be hard. We have a fair amount of things in green that are putting +1/+1 counters. This is the first thing I've really seen that cared about having other modifieds, so that makes me happy. This is a 2/5, because on its own it's kind of a 2-ish. It has no semi-good ability. Like, usually a 3-mana 2/3 does a little something, even if it's scarce or rarely triggered, it still has some options. But I think sometimes coming in as a 3/4 for 3 is pretty good. It's also a Snake Samurai.
Yeah, it's got a lot of little upsides that make it worth playing, but it's nothing exciting.
Historian's Wisdom, a 3-mana enchant artifact or creature. When it enters the battlefield, enchant permanent. If enchant permanent is a creature, the greatest power among creatures you control. If it is the creature with the greatest number of power you control, draw a card. And then as long as enchant permanent gets +2/+1. Okay, and that's a lot of things. So if you put it on a specific thing, you get to replace it. If you don't, no, and then it's kind of a below rate stat bonus.
Yeah, and it's not just your creatures, it's any creatures on the battlefield.
Well, I mean, +2/+1 is pretty helpful for getting you there, especially when you're pretty early in the game at 3 mana, 4 mana. That's probably going to trigger.
Yeah, if it was your creature, you could always guarantee a trigger by making the right choice. When it's not, sometimes you don't have the choice here.
I mean, why not? You could technically put it on theirs if you really need to.
True.
You still have the choice, but we're not super happy about it. I think this is my least favorite, and considering it's an uncommon, makes me pretty sad. If you have an aggressive big greens beats deck, then we can run one of these as a 23rd playable card. Now, that said, I often like to pick these up a little extra in the late side of the draft and put them in the sideboard. If I end up in these weird Selesnya mirror matches, board these in. It's actually a fair amount of value. There was a white one that actually was kind of a house, but very, very susceptible to being 2 for 1 and very swingy if you did. You know, the one I'm talking about that makes the 1/1 each turn?
Yeah, I still think that card's terrible.
I think it's terrible too, but it's a mirror breaker.
I know what you're saying, no.
But it is an absolute mirror breaker if your opponents don't have other removal spells. If you're in that sort of a situation, I think keep an eye out for those in the sideboard, because they will surprise you and sometimes get you some sneaky wins. That said, it if it replaces itself moderately reasonably, it could be a 23rd playable card. We'll give it a 2, and we'll be reluctant to play it.
Agreed.
Invoke. I'll let you take this one.
1 green for a sorcery. Create 2 4/5 green spirit creature tokens. For each of them, put your choice of a vigilance, reach, or trample counter on them. So 5 mana for 8/10 worth of power and toughness, plus 2 keywords. I mean, the mana cost is annoying, but green is more likely to be able to pay it than any other color.
Exactly, because we have those mana dorks, we have all cycling things, we have that thing that gets us 2 forests specifically.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think this card's really good.
This card offers a lot. If you're a 3-color deck, you're in trouble. If you're mostly red, you're in trouble. But if you're heavy green, I'm going to play this. Even if we're casting it on, let's say, turn 7. Right, like you're 4 and 3, or whatever. You're still probably going to get there, and you're very likely to be able to add an extra forest from something else. And we saw the enchantment land that makes 2 mana of any color as well. Okay, this is one of the better ones of the bunch, I think.
Yeah, I think this is probably the second best one behind blue, although it is easier to cast, so that might put them kind of on par.
Yeah. And can you imagine ramping into this with your mana dork?
Yeah.
Can you imagine doing this on turn 4? So good. So good. I like this at a 3/5.
Yeah.
I would give it higher if it wasn't so restrictive to cast. If it was 2 green, which would still be kind of hard, but all right. Let's go ahead and move to the next saga. Ooh, it's a mythic saga. Ooh. 3 mana, chapter 1, create a 1/1 green human monk creature that is a mana dork. Yes. Yep. All right. I'm already going to play this card, even if the rest is like very medium. For Chapter 2, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 creatures. Okay, so it's giving you 3/3 power on board and a ramper, and then it turns into a 2/2 flyer that says whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay X. When you do, put X +1/+1 counters on that creature. Okay, as long as you control 5 or more modified creatures, this gets +5/+5 and has trample. Huh. Okay. It's slow, but very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, you've got, things may have died, but this creates arguably 2 modified creatures on its own before even playing another creature.
In addition to giving you another body. So does this meet the requirement for our 5s? And a 5 is, will it win the game if it's immediately answered? Which is often mythics that leave a lasting effect or enter the battlefield, destroy a creature, things like that. So I think this probably meets that requirement, because on 3, getting a ramper that turns into a 2/2, getting 3 essentially 3/3 worth of power for 3 mana with a mana dork is a substantial amount. Like, it's a decent rate.
I would agree, except that this doesn't require a premium removal spell, like this dies to shock. Like if you get this thing shocked or the equivalent, you don't really feel like you just played a bomb. You got ahead on the exchange, but nothing that's going to win the game.
I mean, it's certainly not guaranteed, but I think we've given 5s for less. I think a 3/3 power with a mana ramper on 3 can snowball you into a win pretty easily. In addition to being a card up, right, from them having to shock this on the other side. Like, that's actually a fair amount of value that early on in the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see this as a bomb unless it stinks. Unless you get at least 1 trigger of X.
I'm inclined. Now, if I'm playing this later in the game, I guess, because that becomes less relevant, but that's a fair amount of power with the mana ramper. I think I like this. I'm going to give it a 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good card. I don't quite have it at a 5. I think it's a 4 or 5. Like, if you look at like the Mythic Dragons, I don't think it holds up.
Yeah. But also...
But it's cheaper.
It's cheaper and enables your bigger things to come out quicker. It feels so snowballing to me that it's going to be tough to beat, even if they have the answer on turn. If they don't, heaven help them. All right, we have Jukai Preserver for mana for enchantment creature. I always say legendary instead of enchantment because it's usually there in like roughly the same length. Human Druid enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. You could channel it, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2. It's a 3/3 for 4 mana, which enables your alterations.
Modified.
God damn it. On creature you control, it targets itself, so it's a 4/4 for 4, which is what I like to see. It's an enchantment, which is what I like to see. It's flexible. It works as kind of doubling for a combat trick. This is great. I'm all for this card.
Yeah, I don't think this is anything super powerful, but it does what you want it to do.
Yeah, I think this is a solid 3. Like, if I pick this up, even 5th pick, I'm just like, ooh, this fits my curve nicely. I like this.
Exactly.
All right. Dukai Trainee. 2 mana for a 2/2. Human Samurai. When a trainee blocks or becomes blocked, it gets +1/+1 till end of turn. Oh. Usually you see this as blocked or blocks, but never both. So in combat, this is technically always just a 3/3 for 2 mana. Unless they're just not blocking it, right? Like, I meant it's hitting for 2, but when it's doing stuff, if it's interacting with other creatures, it's a 2/2 for a 3/3 for 2 mana. This seems great.
Yeah, it's got Bushido 1 without having to reprint the keyword Bushido.
While also just being a relevant creature type. Yeah, I'm all for this bear with massive upside, actually. This is probably one of the first bears that's getting closer to a 3 and not a 2/3. Or, yeah, 2/5.
Yeah, I think it's a 2/5. I don't actually think this is as high upside as you think it is, but it's because it's on the end of it. It's just a 2/2 that gets bricked by an X4, or they just take 2.
An X4. A lot of other decks can't produce a lot of X4s.
A 1/4, or this set with everything growing from. I mean, this can also grow, I guess, so that kind of balances out.
And this is the growing set. In addition to having like other samurai abilities being attached onto it, I think that there's a lot here for an aggressive deck. It's doing everything I want it to do. I want to curve out. I want them to not be able to interact with it with their creatures. There's a lot of 2/1s in the format. That's going to be their 2-drop, and it's just not going to be able to box.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking I see this come down the other side of the battlefield. I don't really care.
I mean, it's just a 2-drop. It's a common. Of course, it's not going to be like, oh shit. But like, as far as common 2-drops go, I'm very happy with this. It was kind of like that conversation we were having earlier, where it's like some colors, your 2-drops, you're willing to play less exciting 2-drops, whereas I think we're starting to get to the point where it is more exciting. It's doing what I want my creature deck to do.
That's, to me, I find that the opposite. Like, I'd be thrilled with that card in blue because you don't have a lot of great options, but I mean, in green, I'd rather just play I'd rather get a 1/1 mana ramper than that. Or
agreed, but in your aggressive green decks, that's not necessarily the case, especially if you're samuraiing and putting +1/+1 counters. Of course, I'd love to have that in blue. I think that would be insanely powerful in blue compared to what blue usually gets. Oops, I think I skipped one here.
Nope. Oh, yeah, sorry. That stream's behind.
Creature Spirit 2/2 for 2. Whenever you cast an enchant spell, put a +1/+1 counter on this. Okay, when at the beginning of each end step, if enchantment was put into a graveyard from the battlefield this turn, you may return this from your graveyard to your hand. Now that's a 2-drop.
Yeah, this card's great.
Yeah, this is a 4.
Yeah, just grows. It's all these enchantment creatures.
It comes back for free.
You got a 1/1 enchantment creature Death Touch. That's going to be going to the graveyard.
Certainly. Yep. So yeah, I like this at a 4.
Yeah, agreed.
Kappa?
Yep.
Does that really say Kappa?
Yeah.
Kappa Tech Warrior. We have a 1/3 for 2. It is a Ninja Turtle to go with our Splinter from Black earlier. Ninjutsu 2, when it enters the battlefield with a Death Touch counter on it. So not really relevant with the ninjutsu side of it, but that's fine. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may remove a Death Touch counter from it. When you do, exile target artifact or enchantment that player controls. Okay. I don't care that much about ninjutsu here. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the black one that got a menace counter and you can make them discard when it hit. Yeah. But you can use it to surprise kill something.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the real question here is, which Ninja Turtle is this?
He's got a little blue thing on his head.
Yeah, and he's got, like, a katana, which would make you think Leonardo.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge Ninja Turtle fan. Like, I've seen some, I saw the movies, but I never remember which was which. But that is very on character for me. Like, I don't know card names. I don't care which Ninja Turtle you are. Yeah. It's fine. No hate to you Ninja Turtle lovers. I just don't remember things.
But they're heroes in a half shell.
That's true. I could sing the song probably.
Turtle power.
But like, there's no space in my brain for the color distinction. Like that cannot pay enough rent in my brain. Space is limited.
But these turtle boys cut Shredder no slack.
Yeah, this is fine. Oftentimes you're just going to want to use the Death Touch. The fact that it's a 1/3 Death Toucher means it kills a lot more things without actually dying itself, and I think that's pretty cool for only 2 mana. So I think this is a great 2-drop on its own without the added bonus, and oftentimes they're not going to be able to block it even if they could. You know, you're going to get a good trade, and it's great on curve. So I think this is a 3.
Yep, I've got it as a 3. You know, incidental ways to remove artifacts and enchantments are great in any set, and even better in this set.
I feel like the Death Touch is relevant enough, because oftentimes you'd rather kill a different creature that doesn't happen to be an artifact or enchantment or whatever. All right, we have a legendary spirit, Tree of the West. We have a 3-drop with reach. It is a 3/3. Modified creatures you control have trample. And then it says, whenever a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, search your library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped. So it thins, it's a good rate, it has reach, it helps your other modified creatures enough. Now, it's not game-breaking on its own. It doesn't modify anything. It's a 3/3 for 3.
Yeah, this card's just good, not great.
It's just good, but it's not what I expect to see when I open a Mythic and I go, oh shit, I got a bomb.
Yeah, they're Mythic duds in every set.
Is this like a 3/5 and with a fair amount of upside in the modify deck?
Yeah, and even the upside's somewhat limited. I mean, trample is good, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't, it doesn't turn anything into a blowout. Thinning your deck, and getting some land is, again, good, but not amazing. So
yeah, not game winning. All right, we have the green legendary dragon, a 4/4 for 5 mana with flying and death touch. When it dies, you may search your library for up to 3 lands, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle, or you can create an XX green spirit creature token where X is the number of lands you control. I feel like I'm always using that. At this point, we have at least 5 mana, if not more. That's another 5/5 body. So for 5 mana, you're getting 9 power with the stats.
Yeah, I mean, there's some world, right, where you play this, that you've drawn 5 forests and play this and are stuck with a bunch of red cards in hand where you grab mountains, but very rarely.
Yeah, and that's also assuming that you haven't killed them by then.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a 5. I think that body is worth it being a, leaves a lasting effect on the battlefield.
Yeah.
It fetches lands, not just basics. We're doing a limited set review, so there's some rare cycles, but that's not going to be the case for the average deck, especially in sealed. So we don't tend to put a ton of value in very corner cases.
Yeah, especially since this is already a mythic, so that's one of your rare slots gone.
If those channel lands were uncommon, I would definitely agree that this would be much, much bigger if we're getting multiple channel lands. But you might have one, and whether I would want that over a 5/5, unlikely. Oops, did I skip one? No. Okay. I'm gonna let you take this one.
March of Burgeoning Life. X and a green instant. As an additional cost to cast the spell, you may exile any number of green cards from your hand. Costs 2 to cast, so we've seen this in every color. This one is choose target creature with mana value less than X, not X or less, which is weird. This time it's specifically less than X. Search your library for a creature card with the same name as that creature. Put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. This is pretty terrible.
It's not even constructed. It feels like constructed jank.
Yeah, there's probably some nonsense combos where you can discard a bunch of green cards and get something stupid. Early in the game, but yeah, it's it's probably someone could do something with this in EDH as well.
Great, we're giving it a 1.
Oh, actually, I take that back. They absolutely cannot do it in EDH.
Oh,
it literally does not work.
I did not get that. Yeah, my brain did not put that together. But yes, when you said it, I was just like, yeah, EDH. It's kind of like a dumpster of all the stuff that just turns into good stuff somehow when it congeals. Yeah. So when you said it, I was like, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, of course.
Didn't even think about it. All right. Master's Rebuke, a instant 2 mana spell. So target creature you can control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. 2 mana, instant speed, punch spell, not a fight spell, because apparently green is too good for fights these days. This is green's premium removal. At 2 mana, usually we give them a little bit of a ding because they cost a lot. They're sorcery speed, so it's very easy to get blown out on. But at 2 mana, it's a lot easier to pick your spots and guarantee that you don't get blown out. So I like this card. It's green's premium. I'm saying this is a 4, maybe a 3/5.
Yeah, not only do you not get blown out, but sorcery speed, you're likely, you have a chance to get 2 for 1. Instant speed, you have a chance to 2 for 1 then.
Yes, which kind of balances out those two things a bit.
Yeah.
And because it's a punch spell, you don't get 2 for 1 if they have a pump spell, which is like one of the other things that increases your chances of getting blown out. So you're not just getting blown out to removal, you're getting blown out to a pump. Yep. Where this kind of, okay, well now it's 1 for 1. My removal spell for your pump spell. So the downside is very, very minimalized in Green's new style of removal.
Yeah, we've seen a handful of Death Touch cards already in this set. Those always work great with these.
Orochi Keeper. 1/1 for 2. Mana Dork. We have a lot of Mana Dorks in this set. Far more than we've seen in any set in the last, 2-3 years?
Yeah, certainly in a while.
There's, this one on by its own. There's a Saga that makes one. There's a Channel that makes one. This is awesome. Where I'm going to play so many 6-drops, it's going to blow your mind. And then as long as it is modified, it has even more mana. Fantastic.
Yes, nothing at all wrong with this card.
3?
Always playing. Yep, always playing it.
I'm always playing it and probably even 2. And I just get to play all the dorks.
See, this is why I'm not playing that 2-mana 2/2 you loved. I'm just playing this thing instead.
2-mana 2/2?
The Samurai.
Yeah, but this is an uncommon.
I'm just
you know how many Gruul decks I played in the last set? You know how many Gruul decks I played in the last set with never seeing an Awu? So many. You're crazy if you think you could just hand choose as many of these as you want to replace any janky 2-drop. Yes, well, I agree. If I can have these uncommons, I will not play the other filler 2s. Sure, Yanks, you win.
To be fair, the only way I'm playing green is if they get hand feed me these cards, so.
Stupid control players. Roaring Earth. We have a 2-mana enchantment. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or vehicle you control. And you can channel it for X and green, discard it. Put X +1/+1 counters on target land you control. It becomes X green creature. So you can kind of flash it in, sneaky block. End of turn, you can make a big thing that they won't expect to be able to block and then kill them. So the channel actually offers a fair amount of flexibility that you wouldn't typically see in the late game. And if you're very early and you happen to have the the ETB stuff for it, sure. That said, I think the channel is a lot more valuable than the actual enchantment itself.
Yeah, I think I'm probably playing this for its channel cost 90% of the time.
And it's a little expensive. Green and X means that you're a lot less likely to be able to block efficiently as the combat trick that I was telling you about. It's still good. And also, X green is far less likely to be a lethal attack if you're end stepping it and then attacking them. But it's possible. All of these things are at least possible. So this is fine. We're probably playing one of these. It's like a 2/5, 3.
Yeah, I think it's probably a 2/5. It does give you some sort of weird instant speed modifiability that could, make something else bigger.
How many lands do we need to play before we are excited about the +1/+1 counters? 3?
Yeah, probably at least.
So what do you want to do with this card, right? You want to play a 2-drop, and then you want to play this and play a land, buff up your 2-drop, and then from there on curve out, and then you start to recoup your value on turn 4, assuming you play a land every time? Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It feels like a pretty bad turn 3, but sometimes you don't have anything to play, so
I agree, except for the modifiability. We are happy with this scenario, more so if we have a lot of modifies. Which I'm seeing a lot of modify enablers here in green, but very few modify requirements. So this does need to be paired with red. I think that this is the Gruul card. If you don't have Gruul, you're less likely to want this.
Probably, yeah.
So yeah, it's like a 2/5 with some Gruul upside.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, Season of Renewal, a 3-mana instant. Choose one or both. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Return target enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. I actually usually don't like these because you can't find whatever the second thing is. It's usually target creature and non-creature permanent, and your deck has maybe one of the non-creature permanents or something. But that said, half of the enchantments in green are creatures, so this is just get 2 creatures more often than not. And it's at instant speed, so you're fight spells, your draw spells, whatever, you can pump spells. These are still active when you're waiting for your opponent, and then you're just okay, draw 2 cards. I'm playing this card actually.
Yeah, I am too. Occasionally you see this for 2 mana, but it's usually a sorcery, and I don't even care that it costs 1 more with, the 47 mana dorks we've already seen.
Well, the other thing too is you're right. It usually costs 1 less, but I feel like the likelihood of hitting both targets is rarer.
Yeah, I think the only one of those that was 2 in recent memory that pretty consistently hit 2 was the party one from Zendikar Rising.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I like this card.
What do you like it rating wise?
Still a little, slow and reactive, but it's instant speed. I'll get like a 2/5 pushing 3.
Yeah, I put it down as a 3 initially, like the first one. They're going to be worse in multiples just because they're too slow. If you've got pump or fight spells at instant speed, this will go up in value just like the draw spells do. So this plays very similar to a blue card, in my opinion.
Yeah, it goes up in value the better the quality of your other cards that surround it are.
Certainly. All right, we got a legendary rare 2 mana 1/3. It is a legendary enchant creature, druid, snake, tiny text. For 2 mana, you can tap it and return it to its owner's hand. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield, tap, and put the rest into your graveyard. Or you could channel it for XX green, discard it, and return X target non-legendary cards from your graveyard to your hand. Huh. So you can play it for 2, you can block, and then you can pay 2, get a land, ramp, then redo the thing. And then late game, you can return a bunch of stuff to your hand. Like, it's slow and dirtily, but it does a lot.
It's really, that channel cost is a lot. Right, that's 6 mana to get 2 cards back.
Yeah. With how many mana dorks we've seen and how many ramp cards we've seen, maybe not so much. And if you've used its ability, it's sort of self-enabling in that way. But we had that saga that was not a rare, right? That got 2 forests? Was that an uncommon or a rare?
It was a rare. Oh no, that was an uncommon, that one.
Yeah, so we're getting a lot more mana help than we typically see. So I think we can rate the channel cost here a little bit more liberally with 3+ mana dorks, sagas, and the enchantment that makes things cost for double, stuff like that. There's a lot of mana here.
Yeah, I mean you're putting a whole lot of mana into it though at that point.
Agreed, but you mentioned yourself that you thought this was going to be a slower format.
Yeah, I think the card's fine.
I think this is more mana synergies than I have seen in the last 4 sets combined. It's got more mana synergies than the damn landfall set.
It does have a lot. I do think that there's going to be a maximum to the number of those you can play before you just dilute your deck too much.
Agreed. But that said, it's still a 1/3 for 2 mana.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. I like this card well enough. It's fine on curve. Maybe does some stuff. It's super slow. I don't really want to be returning it. But then if you draw it late, you can just get 2 things back, which feels good for me for a 2-drop. So I like it. I think it's 3/5.
Yeah, I've got it like a 3.
Spinning Wheel Kick, XX green. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each of X up to X creatures and or planeswalkers at sorcery speed. Okay, so for 6 mana, it's punching 2 things?
Yeah, 4 mana, kill 1 thing, 6 mana, kill 2 things.
If a punch kills it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. You gotta have a lot of big idiots for this. And you gotta have mana dorks and stuff to be able to reasonably get 6 mana. I don't want to play this for X equals 1.
I mean, I've played 4 mana punch spells before. 4 mana destroy target creature is effectively what that is for 4 green. And it's worse than that, obviously, but...
So normally, Hunt the Weak, right, it gets +1/+1 counter. It's less mana specific, because it's 3 and a green. It's, so at sorcery speed without a +1/+1 counter, this is way worse than Hunt the Weak.
Hunt the Weak is fight. This is punch.
Yeah, the +1/+1 counter was usually when you're green and you're getting a +1/+1 counter, that oftentimes wasn't as relevant, but yeah. I'm not saying it's not good, I'm just saying it's not... We play these very sparingly. We're not running like a ton of them, because 6 mana is still kind of a lot, especially at sorcery speed.
Yeah, I don't think this card's amazing, but I'm still going to play the first one in any deck.
I think I'll agree if I've got the mana dorks and stuff. If I, which seems super easy, so very likely I will play the first one of these. Maybe not. Maybe not in a more aggressive low to the ground deck where I'm choosing not to run those. Like, this doesn't feel like a very good Gruul card to me, because I feel like I'm going to be wanting to be more aggressive. The red stuff seemed pretty low to the ground.
Yeah.
What's the ideal color pairing for this?
Actually, I mean, either, to me, it's Gruul or Golgari. I don't have a problem with this in Gruul at all.
I feel like most of the red creatures are not going to be able to punch well.
No, but the green ones will.
Yeah, if you have them, great, right? Like, some decks...
I mean, but that's true for every green removal spell ever printed.
Yeah, but this one asks a lot of you, is my point. So, like, you have to be in that, right? The green ones are the only ones that support it. It's sorcery speed. It's twice as much mana as the other punch spell.
I don't think it asks that much. It asks you to pay 4 mana and have a big creature. And if you can't do that in green, your deck's pretty bad.
Okay. Spinning wheel kick. Well, it looks like I might have messed up my bits here. Season of Renewal, we gave 3-2?
Yeah, I think you said 3, I said 2-5.
Roaring Earth, we gave a
2-5.
I have it as a 3. I at some point I messed up here. The mana dork's a 3. Master Rebuke is a 4. Okay, that's back on schedule.
Okay.
So this I gave a 3-5. And then I botched something up. Spinning wheel kick. I'm giving it like a 2-5. Spring Leaf Avenger. We are back on target. I accidentally double rated a card, I think.
Okay.
Spring Leaf Avenger is a 5 mana insect ninja. Ninjutsu for 4. And then when it deals combat damage to a player, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. It's a 6-5. 6-5 for 5 seems great. With this ability, doesn't even matter if it has ninjutsu. This card's amazing.
Yeah. No, this card's great. Yeah, there's not much else to say about it.
This is one of the better rares we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a, vanilla in the sense it doesn't have any keywords. It can be, just dies to any sort of death toucher, but you can still usually sneak it in at least once with the ninjutsu.
I mean, ninjutsu's kind of a keyword.
Yeah. Yeah, I meant just in combat once, when it's in play. Once it's in play.
This is just like a sneaky 4 mana hit you for, instead of 1, hit you for 6.
Yeah.
Attack with your 1/1 death toucher, beetle, or whatever that idiot was. Hit you for 6, get a card back. Wow, so good. This is a 4-5? Because the ninjutsu means you can kind of like control when you do it, getting you that extra card if you're not doing it all willy-nilly into a bunch of open mana. Yeah, this card is great. Okay. Why are the best ninjas in green? Super confused.
Because they're ninjas. You'll never see them coming in green. It's part of the surprise.
That's true. All right. Story Weave, 3 mana for an instant. Choose 1, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, or put 2 lore counters on target saga you control. The next time 1 or more enchantment creatures enter the battlefield under your control, this turn each enter with an additional +1/+1 counter on it.
So both of those are 2 counters.
Yes. But you have to have a lot of mana to have multiple enchant creatures.
Well, so by putting the 2 counters onto Saga, you're automatically getting 1. Right, because you're flipping it.
Yes. And if you could play an enchant creature with it, you're possibly getting 4 toughness?
Yep.
Okay, well, if you can finish off a saga with this, plus put an enchant creature on, seems good. It's instant speed, 3 mana, put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature, which by itself is not bad in a modify color, right? So you're going to get the modify ability. It's an okay combat trick. It costs a little bit more. +2/+2 for 3 mana is steep, but because they're counters and not temporary, sometimes I'm willing to pay for that. This is okay.
Yeah, I like this card. It can, not only do you get that permanent bump to a creature, you can also just get a creature out of nowhere. Sometimes if you have just a saga that's on chapter 1, they're okay, I have to deal with that in 2 turns, and oop, there it is.
Yeah, you do it, and it's instant. You can do it on their end step if you wanted to. Yeah, this is flexible. I think that the rate for like the +2/+2 could be medium. You could get blown out by this, so it has kind of that same sort of riskiness. And you're paying for that extra amount too, so you're getting 2 for 1 to something that's, on its face, kind of overpriced.
Yeah, the good thing is if you happen to have the saga, which is an if, the back half you can't really get blown out on, because unless they happen to have instant destroy and enchantment, which is more relevant in this set than usual, but still less likely than getting blown out on the creature side.
Yeah, but then they still untap and possibly remove it, which still feels kind of like a 2 for 1. I actually like the first part of this a lot more as a combat trick that eats a thing, gets its value, and then you are no longer at risk of being 2 for 1.
But you can do the same thing with the saga, right? You can do it in combat as well. And eat something.
Possibly. Yeah, but it's less controlling. Like that situation where they don't have mana untapped, you're going to flip your saga and block a thing is going to happen so much less than I think just attacking into something when they have tapped their mana on their turn, right? Like that's just, it's sort of like the enchantment. There was a +2/+2 enchantment that had flash. You use that as a combat trick, not as a just play it on turn 3 on your 2/2 and go in. You want to eat a thing with it first, and I think that's mostly the first phase. Yes, it's possible with the saga, but are you going to have the saga and this and open mana without risking them 2 for 1ing you on the spot with a removal spell, a burn spell, black spell, whatever?
Yeah.
2/5?
Yeah, I think so.
Combat trick, little expensive, but you get to keep your counters, and I like it. We have Tales of Master Seshiro, 5 mana for put +1/+1 counter on target creature or vehicle you control. It gains vigilance until end of turn. You do this twice, and then you exile it, and it becomes a 5 mana vigilance haste 5/5. 7 power worth of creature for 5 mana. A little slow, but it's got some good keywords. Vigilance, and it's a warrior. And it's an enchantment.
Fine. The first 2 things I'm kind of like, I don't really care too much unless I'm playing around with modified. But it's 5 mana 5/5, so.
Well, it's not only is it in the modified set, also it's in the enchantment set, and this will trigger your enchantment effects twice, which is also pretty relevant and gives this particular one a bigger boost than we've seen in other colors.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like this. It's a very solid 5-drop, I think.
Yeah, I'm definitely playing this.
Yeah, this is a getting pretty close to a 3/5 for me.
Oh, yeah, I've got it as a 3. I think I'm actually probably closer to 2/5 than 3/5.
Yeah, I think I'm a 3, but I'm getting close to a 3/5. I like everything that it has to offer and the synergy that it fits within the green archetype. Tamiyo's Safekeeping, a 1 mana instant. Target permanent you control gains hexproof and indestructible till end of turn. You gain 2 life. Okay, so it's hexproof, but it doesn't give a +1/+1 counter, but it does give you indestructible, which works really nicely if like you can use it as a combat trick to trade in. So it's flexible in a different way than Snakeskin Veil.
Yeah, it's got the same protection from removal spells that Snakeskin Veil gave you, and a different way to win combat.
Yeah, which sometimes will be better and sometimes will be worse.
Yeah, at 1 mana I'm happy with this, because you can usually find a spot to blank a removal spell, which you've traded up on mana.
Or you just, turn your trades into not trades, which is also just a 1-for-1. Like, this is an easy spot to get a break even, which I'm happy with. This is like a 2-5. It's possibly the first one's probably a 3, and then they just get worse in multiples.
Yeah, agreed.
Because the amount of spots where this is relevant is goes down.
Yeah, although you do get surely they don't have a second one.
That's true. I usually like to think about that with removal spells, though. Because sometimes if they have like a 6/6 and you have a 4/4, like it's just not going to cut it.
Yeah.
They don't need you to have a second one. They can just punch you in the face. Teachings of Kirin, 2 mana for a mill 3 cards, create a 1/1 spirit. And then chapter 2, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Then it turns into a 1/1 that whenever it attacks, choose one. Exile target creature card from a graveyard when you do create a 1/1 spirit. Or exile target non-creature from a graveyard. And when you do, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control.
That seems pretty medium to me.
It's not going to get to attack well.
Yeah, like you're getting. So what are you getting for 2 mana? You get a 2/2 worth of power on the front side. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, so it's giving you a bear.
Yeah, you can put the counter anywhere, so there's a little flexibility there. But then the backside, you get 1 attack in, likely. Because the early this is flipping is turn 4.
Yeah.
And it really can't attack till turn 5.
That said, it's still 3/3 worth of power for 2 mana. And it gives it to you basically the next turn. Like the turn you could attack with it on 3, because you play this on 2, you make your 1/1. On turn 3, it turns into a 2/2, which is what we typically play on 2. And, whatever, that's fine. So it's a 2 with some flexibility on where you put your counter. This kind of reminds me of like the 1/1s that enter the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on a thing. Like we see that in every set at Common, right?
Yeah. Yeah, those cards are always fine.
And they're just filler 2-drops, which, you are always going to be running some of. And then you get a little bonus here. Maybe you have a lot of removal in the deck that lets you get in a few extra attacks with this. But don't see us getting a lot of value.
No, I think I just have this as a 2. Because, while you're getting a little bit more total, you're getting it on a delay. Even the counter being on a delay can matter because it means they can see it coming and potentially plan for it.
I mean, I don't think it's too much different than just playing a 2/2 for 2. I think it is a wash for the fact that you get the 1/1 on the other side. That may or may not do a thing. So I'm okay with just saying that that's a 2/2 for 2 on the front side. I think I'm closer. I'm going to give this a 3. It's in the same format as the modified, same color pairing. It is a 3/3 for 2 mana. 3/3's power split over 2 bodies for 2 mana. It's a decent rate. It's an enchantment creature in the enchant archetype, right? Green cares a lot about enchantments. So it kind of fits all of the things, and it's very tempo based. It is a very good 2-drop, but it doesn't feel rare. Like this isn't winning you the game, but this is going to be better than any common 2-drop you're going to be getting. I'm going to get this pick 2 or 3 and be really happy to fill my curve with it.
I can't see a world where I ever take this pick 2 or 3.
Yeah, in a green deck, creature based, this is fine. Weaver of Harmony, a 2 mana 2/2 enchant druid snake. Other enchant creatures you control get +1/+1. You can tap it, copy target activated or triggered ability you control from an enchantment source. You may choose new targets for that ability.
You have to duplicate your saga triggers or your anything with an enchantment creature.
Yes. And there are common sagas. Usually activated ability stuff isn't super relevant and limited, but I think there is going to be more in this set. And the enchantment +1/+1 Lord is going to be very good. I think this is better than the last rare, certainly.
This is worlds better.
Yes, agreed. This is... there's a lot of enchant creatures in this format and all of the sagas and stuff. This is a 4 for me.
Yeah, agreed.
Very easy to kill, but you'll get some good abilities with the sagas on the bonus and the enchantment Lord is going to be huge. Still dies to shock, unfortunately. I wish it was a 2/3. I almost wish it was a 2/3 for 3.
I kind of wish I would be happy with it being a 1/3.
For 3?
For 2, I mean.
Yes, 100%. But I'm saying I would rather have, like, I think it's a bigger downside to have it cost more, right?
Yeah.
I think this would be insanely busted as a 1/3 for 2 mana. Web Spinner Cuff. We have a 2/3 with reach. Enchant creature gets +1/+0. +1/+4 and has reach. It's a 1/4 with reach on its own, which we see 3 mana 1/4s all the time. Reconfigure 4. It's a bit expensive. This is kind of medium. It's not as good as the ones we've seen, but it's not as bad as some of them.
Yeah, it's the only one in green, the only artifact in green for that matter. So, you know, green decks, there are going to be less of these fighting for space, potentially. But yeah, I think it's medium. 4 reconfigures expensive.
This feels like, you know, we're usually playing the 1/4 reachers for 3 mana reasonably highly, like a 2/5. And with the configure costing is 4, I don't know that I'm really willing to give it a huge bump. I think this is a 2/5 for me.
Yeah, I agree. We've actually felt like a little more reach in green than we usually see too.
Yeah.
So this isn't quite as critical.
Yeah.
But it's certainly playable.
All right, that's the end of our green, guys. We got there at an hour and 16 minutes. Thank you very, very much for watching our green Kamigawa set review. We've got 2 videos left, multicolor and colorless. So make sure you guys leave us a comment down below. This is actually the set in the last several sets. This is the color that Yanks, this is the very first time Yanks and I have disagreed as much as we have on this particular color, which is really interesting. So make sure you guys leave us a comment, let us know what you think. I'd love to hear your opinions, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to check out the previous ones and come back tomorrow for the next. Love you guys. See you in the next video.